Hey,
Welcome to Winning Fist Bumps. I don't. Is that a good
Friday.
thing that as soon as we start, we like stick our fist
Start
in
punching people.
faces?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
hey, we're gonna punch you. Well, hey, we are talking about killer apps today, so maybe that was
mm,
just appropriate.
right. I've got
Yeah,
a good story about killer apps already. I don't know if I can jump right into it. Can I
yeah.
just?
Well, let's do a quick welcome to everybody,
Oh, right,
and
my bad, my bad.
if you're with us today, we'd love to know who you are. Throw it in the comments. And beyond that, if you have questions or you think we're right, you think we're wrong, we think we're crazy, you think Daniel's the best looking guy in the world, throw it in the comments and let us know. And we can, throw those up on screen and have a conversation with you. I mean, this is modern marketing, modern selling, modern relationship building, right? It happens in social, it happens on screens, it happens in shows. So we showed up. You guys show up in the comments, and then we can have the cool chat.
Yeah, and definitely like even pitch what you're doing. That we're totally cool with looking at
Mm-hmm.
new apps, what people are doing in AI. We definitely want to see that. So go at it. Have fun.
Yeah. Aloha Thor, Mr. Bob Britton. Bob's going to be on the show with us. I don't know exactly when, but sometime in the near future. Good to see you, Bob and Butch. It's a day for bees. It's Brandon, it's Bob, and it's Butch. And Nor just told us that Bob's next week. So, Daniel, you might have to leave because your name doesn't start with the B.
Okay, I can do that. I do want to know what the Thor is, the Thor reference. Do you know what's all about?
I don't. I was
Okay.
expecting it to say, I am Groot.
Oh,
But yeah. So, Daniel,
yeah.
give us
Yeah.
your killer app
The
reference. And
killer app reference. So I saw a study this week. Maybe you guys saw the study. It was like over 2,700 AI scientists, researchers, and they were asking about the state of AI. And one
hmm,
of the things they asked was, what's the chance that there's a human extinction event due to AI? And what do you think the percentage chance was from all 2,700 researchers? What's your guess? Chance of human extinction?
wow. Because of AI,
Yeah.
man, I have no idea, and I don't even feel educated to guess, but I'm scared to know that it's higher than like
It was
5%.
5%. Nailed it. It was 5%. And it was like, would you get on a plane if you knew there's a 5% chance that it would crash in a fiery plane crash? Would you get on that?
Interesting.
But here's the thing, like you're on it, whether you like it or not. I mean, that's the way I thought about it. Is like
Hmm.
we're on this
Right.
plane, so we're kind of being, and we're definitely not the pilots. We have no choice in this flight,
Hmm.
but we do have the option of
Right.
like, how do we use it? How do we use it in our business? How do we use it personally? What kind of impact are we going to have using AI? So I thought that was kind of an
Hmm.
interesting story.
Well, the other question I have, and you know me, the skeptic on this type of stuff is, so they're experts and they came up with 5%.
Mhm.
How did they get to that 5%? Are they accurate? How many people are more, the glass is half empty
Sure.
versus half full? Like there's a lot of variables that go into to getting to that.
Sure.
Uh,
But what I found interesting from the same study was they said, at what point would AI replace 50% of all human tasks? And they asked them that last year. So a year ago, they asked them, and it was 2060. So the year 2060, AI would replace 50% of all human tasks. They asked them
hmm,
again this year, and the number dropped to 2047. So somehow in 1 year of advancement, that date has now moved up 13 years.
13 years.
So
Wow.
based on what they're seeing in the industry right now, it's moved up 13 years. So I thought that was interesting
Yeah,
as well. Just the change
that
that's
is very
happened in a year.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So today, for everybody, we want to talk about a couple things. Daniel has a really cool example to share with the advancements of AI. We want to talk about what we see happening now. For everybody, remember, Daniel's the smart, good-looking guy on the back end that codes and understands prompts and scripts and how AI is supposed to work. And I'm the not as good-looking, moronic guy on the front end that I just want tools to help me market, sell, and lead my team better. And so when we talk about this, you get kind of that two sides of the coin, and how we're talking about it. And I think today is especially going to be where our differences are going to be really important, and how we're looking at what exactly is a killer app, and how will we use it differently. So, Bob, Supergrow this week. You know what? I heard of a really cool tool that's going to help people write posts in their own personalized voices that knows their business, and it's called Fist Bump. But I'm happy to know about Supergrow as
I
well.
saw
Thanks for adding
Supergrow.
that.
I saw Supergrow this week as well. It is really cool. It uses some of the concepts that I posted about this week, which is taking templates and kind of reusing using templates to write posts, which is very
Mm-hmm.
neat because those are proven templates online. And I'm actually interested in looking into that tool more. But it still is a little bit of a, if 1,000 other people are using the same tool, then you're just getting not regurgitated, but very similar posts in your feed and not very personalized posts. So maybe there's
Yeah.
more personalization in it as well, but that's kind of what I've seen from Supergrow. But it looks like a neat tool.
Yeah, I think a lot of those. Yeah, let's go back. I want you to show your example, because I think it's a really cool way to visualize for
Is this
people
my post from
what's
this
gone
morning?
on in AI in the past year, since, I mean, a year plus that we've been working on it.
Okay, let me see if I can pull up just this one. Are you seeing this?
So let me set this up
Okay.
for everybody while he's pulling it
Yeah.
up. Oh, go
You
ahead.
got it up now? Can you see it? Yeah,
Yeah.
cool, cool.
So January of 2023, so a year ago, Daniel and I were chatting about things, and I, again, remember the moron on the front end. I went in and I don't even remember what I used at the time, but I asked for,
You were using
could you,
Dolly.
create it? What's
I think you
that?
used Dolly, or it might have just been some form of ChatGPT, like OpenAI.
Yeah, I think it was Dolly, but I think it was Dolly. But I said, give me a picture of a happy janitor. And the one on the left is what I got. And I sent it to Daniel, and I said, Daniel, AI isn't there. There's no, blah, blah, blah. I was so disappointed. And then Daniel, take it over.
Yeah, so I took that and same exact prompt. I didn't add any like cool prompt engineering, no expert, like use this camera lens and this lighting and make sure to have this sort of detail. I really just went into ChatGPT 4, Dolly, and I said happy janitor, and that was it. And I got the results on the right, which are, I think, pretty good. I mean, I could see what you. I think you would ask me this for some sort of, maybe with some marketing material or something like. I feel that you could use this on the right with very little edit. Like, I think it's pretty good, especially with like the little
Yeah.
flag in the
I'm pulling up,
background and the depth of field and everything.
mhm. Yeah, I'm pulling up your post to get it closer, because I don't know if everybody can see it on their screen, or maybe it's a little bit clearer. But the one on the left, if you kind of drill in on the guy's
Yeah,
face, and it's like it was poorly photoshopped or something.
and I
Or
remember.
it's almost like Frankenstein. It's pieces of different people that are kind of tried to be glued together or something.
Yeah, and I remember these pictures from this time. It sounds like this time, like it was centuries ago, but I remember it from earlier last year. And people were putting these images on LinkedIn, on social, and they were saying, "Oh my gosh, these are so terrible. Who would use these?" And they're making fun of it. I saw one. I think I might have mentioned it recently. Like it was a salmon, like a fillet of salmon um, running up the river because someone said salmon running upstream, and it was like a fillet of salmon. And so it was like people were just making fun of it, and it's just changed completely now. Now all you see
Yeah,
online when people post stuff is look how good it is. I don't see the look
right.
how bad it is anymore. It's all about how good it is.
Yeah,
And I mean that's in 12 months. And that's what I kind of said in my post was I'm a little bit fearful, honestly, when I look at what I do for a living, writing software, solving technical problems, and that's only going to get better. If I can't keep up
yeah,
with these changes, if I can't keep up with it in some way, I've had people ask me like, "Are you afraid for your job?" I'm not, because I'm not truly afraid, because I'm keep trying to keep up with it and trying to learn other things, like getting on shows like this and being uncomfortable. Like AI is not going to do that for me, but it could replace writing software. It could replace solving a technical problem. All of these things are getting so much better with AI.
Yeah. Well, and I want to use that then to transition. I think one of the things with AI, and then we can talk about some killer apps concepts as well. But I think this is really important. So Liz McGlennon is a friend of mine, and she's the founder of Tech Fluent, which they train people in Microsoft. Go take it's a nonprofit. You can go look at it. But she posted today, which was really interesting. It came out of the World Economic Forum report for 2023, and it was the top 15 in-demand skills from now until 2027 is the forecast of it. And of the 15 skills, only 3 of them were tech skills, which is really interesting. Number 1 was analytical thinking.
Sure.
Number 2 was creative thinking. 3, AI and big data. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
4 is leadership and social influence. 5 is resilience, flexibility, and agility.
Wow.
Right? Of
Yeah.
those top 5. So as we're talking about AI, we're talking about apps, we're talking about how we're going to use them. We're talking about companies that are building them, whether it's Fistbump or Supergrow or any others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Over the next 4 years, what this is saying is the soft skills are going to become more important. And for me, when I saw analytical thinking and creative
Right.
thinking,
That was surprising.
what I've noticed with AI and prompt engineering, which I think is going to be like, I think we're going to move out of prompt engineering pretty quickly of being like the core focus,
Mm-hmm.
at least for people like me
Sure.
on this
Yep.
side of the
Mm-hmm.
fence,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't want to, and that's what you're for, right?
I'm happy to learn
But
it for sure.
but as we get out of prompt engineering, it's still going to be, how do I use the AI? What do I need to tell the AI? For me, with sales, one of the biggest challenges around modern selling right now is just getting salespeople and business leaders to understand what it means to be in a buyer centric age. When you break that down, it's just put yourself in your buyer's shoes, or think about the way you buy and apply it to the way that you sell. And I don't mean to be rude, but most people, they just go, "What do you mean?"
Mm-hmm.
They can't get themselves out of, this is what I do as a salesperson. This is my sales activities. This is a process that I do. And you go, well, what about your buyer? Think about your buyer. They can't make that transition. They don't have that analytical thinking ability or that creative thinking to go, what is it like to be a buyer on the other side of me?
It, and
And I think that type of thinking is going to become more and more important, because it's almost the way that we have to speak to AI, and we're having a chat to get them to understand the bigger picture, instead of just going, write a blog article for me about ABC. We have to think about, okay, well, who's my audience? How do you want them to feel? What do you want them to get out of it? Do you want a general idea, or do you want to get into some specifics? That's the way we need to approach AI. And a lot of people just don't have that skill set to think more analytically or creative. What do you think, Daniel?
No, I totally agree. And I think a lot of the solutions right now and what we've been seeing is all around prompting for that. Whether it's the, I see it like every single day, the here's 1,000 prompts PDF.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw one that was 2,000 prompt. I'm wondering how many numbers, like how high we're going to go
Right.
in the amount. But that's what a lot of people are looking at AI, and they're like, I have to figure out prompts in order to do that, or I have to have this massive list of prompts in order to be able to leverage AI. So is that what you're kind of thinking from a buyer seller standpoint, like using prompts in that way, or because that's kind of not my world. So
No, no, no. Wait, what I'm trying to get to is, when I'm working with salespeople and I try to get them to think about how your buyer feels,
mm-hmm.
put yourself in the buyer's shoes,
Gotcha.
think creatively or think analytically from someone else's perspective. Quite honestly, they have a really hard time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are analytical skills. Those are creative skills. Those are empathy and active listening skills that, quite honestly, have not been a focus in the American education for the last 20 years.
I got you. That makes a lot of sense.
So as we move into the AI era, and those type of skills are going to be so important, according to this World Economic Forum report,
Mm-hmm.
we're not equipped right now. Most people are not equipped. So if you want to, you're talking about job security. Number one, I think you don't have a problem. You'll shift because you have, and I look at this, you have leadership, you're resilient, you're flexible, you're agile, you're curious, you're a lifelong learner, like a lot of these things that you need.
Mm-hmm.
You'll pivot, you'll shift, you'll find work to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? You'll find things to do
Sure.
and solve problems for people. But for a lot of people that are um, they don't have those skill sets. Trying to take on AI or try to leverage and use AI is going to be a frustrating thing for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. And even more so if you are coming into the workforce with these tools that are doing it for you. So even more so that
Yeah.
you're not gonna develop them yourself. Like my kids don't know how to use a map. Like we used to travel. That was like a big thing my family did. We did road trips
Mhm.
throughout the United States, and we would stop at the rest stop. I'm like dating myself, I guess, but like we would stop at the rest stop. We'd have sandwiches packed, and we would sit and we'd look at the map and we would plan that day's turns. Like so we'll be there, because you could only drive
Yeah.
60 miles an hour, and so we like, oh, we'll be at this turn in 3 hours. So we'd set the clock. We'd watch the map, the road markers, the mile markers, and now it's like I get in my car and we're going to Florida to visit family, and I put it in, and I don't even think about when I'm turning.
Right.
And so we lose some skills for sure with it, and I think that's going to only be more true with AI.
Yeah, and we develop other
Yeah,
skills. I mean, it kind of
yeah,
reminds me. It kind of reminds me of some of those memes. It'll be like the Gen X or the baby boomers that say your generation doesn't know how to fix their own water pipe. It's like, yeah, well, you didn't know how to build a house like they did
sure,
200 years ago,
sure,
right?
yeah,
Skills evolve,
hmm,
but my concern is when we look at these skill sets that are going to be needed with AI, a lot of those skill sets just haven't been nurtured over the last 20 or so years. We got really, really focused on technical ability. Everybody go learn how to code, but leadership skills, influence skills, communication skills, all that has not been as focused because the last probably 20 plus years, it's been about technical skills.
yeah. So
And AI is this weird anomaly in that it's technical, but it needs a lot of soft skills to be used best.
totally agree. I wanted to know or see if we could touch on the release that happened this week, or the announcement that happened this week about OpenAI and the GPT store. So again, if you're in LinkedIn, you've probably seen somebody copy and paste their announcement on the email. I've probably seen that like a dozen times. But what they announced was that there will be a GPT store starting next week. And inside of that, you can make GPTs. And yes, we can get into what a GPT is if you want. But you can create GPTs of your own and make them public, and then be able to monetize them there. So be able to create apps, you could say,
Mm-hmm.
to be used. So I wanted to do you want me to explain what a GPT is just real quickly for the non-technical folks? Or
Sure.
yeah, so a GPT is a purpose-built AI. So if you think about how you use ChatGPT normally, you might go in there and you're starting at a blank slate, and you might say, I need help writing a story for my kids, bedtime story, or I need an analysis of this document, or I need a LinkedIn post written, I need a recipe made. Like, you're always starting from square one, but all of those different use cases now you can put into a GPT. So you could create a bedtime story writer, and it would know what its directive is, and then you could have uploaded some knowledge base for it to use, and you jump in, and now you're at a blank slate, but you're at a blank slate of what the AI knows what it's supposed to do as its next step. And so what people have been doing is creating GPTs for personal use or sharing them with others. But this is going to be a public a public store They haven't described, they haven't gone into detail of what the monetization factors will be, how that all works, but it will be a place to get apps. So
Yeah. So
thought about that.
as we talk about killer apps um, and as we move into killer apps, Nor just told me my keyboard was really loud, so I'll stop typing. But I was looking for more articles on LinkedIn. Sorry. Bob, the link to Liz's post is on its way to you. Nora's going to get it put into the comments. I can't from here, unfortunately. As we're moving into killer apps, I think that the GPT store, if you will, is going to be the first big step. But part of me likes it for who I am. Remember the guy that doesn't want to worry about prompts.
Mm-hmm.
I like that concept. What I don't like about it is it's still not trained for my business or for me. So I think it's a step. It kind of reminds me we're in this. I don't know if this is appropriate right now or not, but um, you and I were talking earlier, Daniel. Like when MySpace first started,
Mm-hmm.
it was like everybody had to learn HTML if they wanted a page that was personalized. And it was like, oh, you got to learn code. You got to learn code for the internet. You got to learn code. And then within, it was a few years, and I don't even know, maybe it was a couple years, 4 or 5 years, whatever. All of a sudden, there were like drag and drop tools, and like
Yeah.
on LinkedIn now, we need a header, we just go and click upload, and we load it. And you need to create the design, you can go to like Canva, and you can say, I want that background, and then you write your own words. Like it's really super easy, and you don't have to write code.
Mm-hmm.
So the GPT is like that first step that you're getting away from prompt engineering. You're going to get these fabricated, ready, done GPTs for very specific tasks. But there is still a little bit of a limitation or a little bit of privacy concern is that anything you feed in those becomes public information,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? So you still got to be aware of what, like, do you put in your financials in there and say, could you do this for me? Like there's certain things. Here's our value proposition to our clients, and here's how we think we compete best with our clients. Can you create this for me?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're feeding all of your IP into that GPT as well, or am I wrong?
No, you are. I mean, it depends on what you're looking at it as. If you're creating a GPT for your company, you would definitely be exposing. There's a risk of exposing secure data that way. There's no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, if you share it that anyone has the link, has access, then once that link is outside the enterprise, it's open game. Anyone can have it and could ask
Right.
questions of it. So yes, there's definitely a very high risk of exposing data that way. But I do think that the way I look at it, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, is I almost look at it more as like the App Store, which is the iOS App Store or Google Play, which is there's going to be cool apps or GPTs that come out of it. Some neat use cases, like I just said, like the storybook writer or the recipe helper or whatever. But I think the business use cases are going to be very limited. I really do. I think there'll probably be certain little aspects that might be a cool thing to bring into your business and use, but I don't think they're going to be like the killer. There might be a few killer apps here and there, but there's not going to be like a silver bullet GPT that solves all your business needs. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
So
made to be
we're
specific.
in so we're in a season like with the App Store early on when somebody created like a fart app
Right.
and sold it for 99 cents and made millions of dollars in a short period
Sure.
of time. And I know that one was more on the entertainment side, or the one that they did the lighter, right? Remember we had the app with the lighter
Yeah.
on it. It was little things like that that were quick hits but didn't have really big long-term value.
Sure.
Is that what you're thinking we're going to experience with this GPT
I think
store?
it's going to be more of that. And the danger with GPTs is, well, how much are you really going to pay for one of these things? Like, what are you really going to pay to have someone else's GPT? In the sense that they're not. It's awesome that anyone can build them, and not being technical and being able to build them. I'm all for that. Good job. But it also means they're really easy to recreate, and they're really easy to, one, if you don't secure your directives well enough, your directive prompts and your knowledge base, someone can actually get that information. But even if you can't, you can probably disseminate enough information out of the GPT to be able to recreate it very easily. And now you start selling it. So if somebody's selling their fart creator for $2 and you figure out how to recreate it from theirs and you go in and start selling it for 99 cents, you just undercut them. And it's going to be tough to build a business around selling GPTs. I just feel that. And especially with all the other
Yeah.
resources that are out there.
Yeah, well, let's bring up Bob's question comment on here too, and I think that's a good one for you to take on, Daniel. No, yeah, doesn't GPT favor the commonly accepted answers? If so, how would a new and innovative solution be promoted by a GPT? And that's my concern about not having a private
Yeah.
model.
No, and I think it's going to be. It's not. I'm not going to say it's going to be new and innovative at all. I don't think there's going to be new and innovative solutions with GPTs. I think they're going to make prompting easier. So if you understand how to
Mhm.
prompt and the GPT is cheap enough or it's free, or maybe they just want to promote themselves by them saying, I have this many people using my GPT and that's what they're looking for. You might get some notoriety that way. They might get some usage, but I don't see there being anything new and innovative by people building GPTs personally. Maybe that's
Mhm.
a wild, crazy
So
guess for next year, but I don't think that's going to happen. Screen cap
yeah,
this
and I
and show me I'm wrong next year.
yeah, well, and who knows? Like, who knows what will happen? I mean, you might be wrong in 2 weeks, and you might be right in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's we're just in that season.
Mhm.
I think as we talk about killer apps for me, and I want to leave everybody with at least this one. And we talked a lot about what killer apps are going to do, and then what are maybe some of them. I think killer apps are going to be ones where the prompt engineering is done for you or
100%.
taken off the table. At least for me, I want and require something to be valuable for me. I don't want to have to think about prompts.
Yeah.
As a CEO, I want to be able to say, this is what I need, and then I want to get it.
Mhm.
So certain, like we've talked about this on my other show, is Humantic AI, I think, is a killer app.
Mhm.
It's very focused. It does a very specific thing, and it adds value to me in what I do. And what Humantic AI, for you guys don't know, is it'll and I don't know if they break the LinkedIn T's and C's or not, but they scan a LinkedIn page, somebody's profile, and using AI, they assess based on the copy and everything on that page, the person's personality. They'll give like a disc profile.
Mhm.
And the idea, and then they'll give you suggestions on based on this person's profile, these are the ways that you should communicate with them if you're sending them a message, or things like this is their profile, so get straight to the point, or this is their profile, focus more on the relationship before you get to the business. I think those type of apps, I think, are going to, we use the word killer app, but I think those are going to be valuable and will be successful and add a very specific value to users.
Yeah. No, that one's great. For me, the one that's been like changed my life this last year has been GitHub Copilot, and that's a very this is probably the wrong audience to share this in, but it helps me code, and it helps. Like the first time I used it, I was blown away, and that was probably 12 months ago or more. And since then, it's only gotten better. And so the way it works, think like autocomplete. If you're putting something into Google search and it gives you an autocomplete, and sometimes it's way off and sometimes it's right. It's
Hmm.
right like 80% of the time. When I'll give it a name of a function, for instance, like a function would be logic built into a section of code, and it will write it for me based on the code base and based on variable names and based on other methods that it might want to use or functions it might want to use. And it writes it all for me. And many times I'll review it and it's very close. And so when people say it's
Hmm.
going to code for you, you still need to know that you can't just say, yes, that's good, send it out. I have no idea what that does. But for me, it's been like game changer, like to change the way that I work. Um, I do want to say I agree with you 100% on like the not prompting, because that's a great example for me. Like I don't prompt, it just fills in for me. And I was talking with one of our alpha users yesterday. He's been super helpful with us, and he's in the restoration industry, and he's talking about a solution that's like specific for that industry, and it's specific for working on projects, and it's specific for like not changing the way that people work. It's just making it more efficient. And so that for me is kind of the main thing for this killer app idea, is making the way that you work more efficient and more just the way that you've always worked better. And where it's not like
Yeah.
they have to sit down at the end of a job and be like, hey, AI, help me write this job report. It's going to be just interact the way you normally do with your employees on the project, and that AI will summarize that and create job notes and all of that for them. So sorry to be
Yeah.
long-winded there, but I feel like that's
No,
really
no,
the
no,
killer
not
app, is like
not at all.
the killer app is not needing to prompt and just working into your normal workflow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, to use this as an opportunity, and I'd love to hear what other people think about it, is what what we built at Fist Bump. I like as a CEO because it's private, it's trained around the company, which gives me confidence that it's a great tool for me when I need something like, okay, how do we stack up against this competitor? Or what is the best way for us to position to this prospect? I can go into our private trained AIQ and request a report.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not right now a push button and all of a sudden you get it, because AI still needs work, but our concierge team is fully trained on how to add more prompts, refine it, go deeper, and really get the information that I need to do my job better. Now, what I like about it is I've wished for years I had the time. I mean, reality is really high paying clients, I took the time to do better
Sure.
research
Yeah.
because the value was there.
Mm-hmm.
But for other customers, the value wasn't quite there, and I didn't have the time to take to go do the deeper research. What I see now is I get to do the deep research on every single customer
Yeah.
and get these executive summaries to me, or these sales summaries to me, that say, hey, this is who you're talking to. This is the right way to talk with them. These are the points that are add the most value to them based on the AI doing the detailed work very, very quickly.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And at a fraction of the cost of like an entry level employee. Really. I mean,
Right. Well, and you know, training the AI is time,
mm-hmm.
but I don't have to train them over and over. I don't have to worry about the AI quitting and getting another job, graduating from college and moving on, or
Right.
being sick and not showing up, or just not really feel like doing a good job today and not giving you doing the depth of research.
Not goofing off on LinkedIn.
Um,
Just kidding.
yeah, not doing what Daniel does and goofing off instead of working.
Posting.
No, but and again, I don't mean that to be a plug for Fist Bump. Although, if you like that, give me a call.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of, we built it that way, really, because that's what I need as a CEO, and I think that there's a lot of sales leader and CEOs that would need it in a similar route. I don't want to spend my time prompting. I don't want to spend my time prompt engineering.
Yeah.
I don't want to hire somebody whose main job is to prompt engineer, because what if they leave?
Yeah.
And then we start out, like, all that intellectual property gets put into one person. Their value is going to go up.
Yep.
And then I'm going to have to pay them a lot more money to keep them or lose them and retrain. And, you've got that cycle that would be going on. So I like this concept of apps that are doing something specific, doing it quickly, and really from the humanity side, helping me do the things I wish I had time to do
Mm-hmm.
really well and put them at my fingertips.
Yeah. And I would challenge any of our clients, like use it just if you have a question. Like I spoke in the past about how I I had a conference talk, and I needed help from AI, and I know how I wanted to cobble together the tools to do it, and it worked well for me. But if someone else says, "Hey, I have to speak at a conference. Here's the subject," just put that in the like. There's a request, custom request, and say, "I need help with this," and AI, our team with
Mhm.
AI, and the ability
With
to make
AI help.
AI help, right?
Yeah.
And us making it look professional and done well. You don't need to worry about
Right.
cobbling together a dictation tool and PowerPoints and images and all that. That's what we're gonna help you with. So kind of the sky's the limit on requests. I just said that
Yeah.
because you guys are going to be doing that on me. So
Yeah. I like, let's throw Tom's, because it's Tom
yes, yeah.
especially, and he's got some good stuff to be thinking about. We put Tom's comment up there, and I'm still reading it. Sorry, I'm late to the party, but in my opinion, killer apps of 2024 will incorporate unstructured data knowledge with structured company. Okay, I know where he's going. Yeah, so Tom's background with LeadSmart and their CRM is their ability to take the structured data inside of the CRM and using unstructured knowledge to make sense out of it. So the way I see it, and Tom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is so many companies have all this CRM data. And I think most companies have barely scratched the surface of really using the data beyond some pretty simple day to day things.
Mm-hmm.
Like leaders will go in and say, "Did you make your calls? Right? Did you call? Or what's your pipeline look like? And did you send out the emails and things like that?" And that's about all they have time for. But being able to go in and start to find deeper knowledge or deeper insights, like these type of customers are responding quicker when having these types of conversations, or these types of customers are responding on this type of outreach but really not on this type of outreach. And I think those are kind of simplified from what Tom's talking about. But what I want to get across to people is just being able to take your existing data and add some AI intelligence around it to say basically, hey, go find out in our data what we're not seeing
Mm-hmm. And then doing it
and tell
at
us what's
scale for the whole
important.
team, doing it for the entire
Right.
team at the same time. So not
Yeah.
having that one position where you need to go to get that help in your team, but instead having that resource for your entire team, which is what we're offering.
Right. And I keep talking about the sales side because that's who I am, but this is on the customer success side.
Mm-hmm.
This is on renewals. This is on product development. This could be on leadership. It could be on HR. Wherever we have all this data, which I think a lot of companies have done a really good job over the last 10 years, especially of data, data, data.
Mm.
But now we're moving into a season to go, what really can we do? And I think companies that actually take the time to look at the data and leverage AI to gain important insights, they're going to be that much better than their competition. I know a lot of coaches will talk about if you could just be 10% better than your competitor, it's a huge difference. Well, what if with AI you could be 50% better because you're more intelligent? And instead of going, where do we go? The AI goes, go there,
Mm-hmm.
and you go there quicker. Like those are the little things that I believe are going to make a huge difference. But we've got to be focused on leveraging not just, oh, let's go use a GPT,
Sure.
but let's really invest in a solid AI that's giving us the tools that we really need.
Totally agree. I know with the GPTs too, um, there's no help. You're just being handed this tool, and then you kind of look at it and you're like, I don't even know what to ask it, how to use it correctly. Having that helps huge, especially
Mhm.
for people that are new to it.
Yeah.
Big deal.
So we're going to wrap up. Tom, thank you for that. Thank you for your last comment too on exactly. For everybody, you got 20 minutes, and then you can go see Tom's show, which is the Around the Horn, not the sports show Around the Horn. His is Around the Horn in wholesale distribution. You can go find them on
I didn't
their
want to
Lead
leave
Smart.
out a new commenter because we should always focus on new commenters. I have no idea who that is. Piet de Groot. We don't have to bring it up
Oh,
every
hey,
time,
Pete.
but do you know who that is?
I do.
Okay. I think he's
Yeah.
asking, is there a market for Christian app It's only in the Play Store. It's called Hellbound, the game. I don't know if that's a joke, but I'm guessing there's a market for literally everything. That's
Yeah.
just the way the world is, and you'll find a niche for your product. So
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Pete. I didn't see it before. I haven't talked to him in a long time. And he's paired off. It's streaming into my Facebook account too. So not just on LinkedIn. Well, Daniel, I think today's conversation was, I hope it was great for everybody. I find a lot of value in this conversation and really just trying to simplify it and get focus. And the concept for me of what are the killer apps is what are the tools that help us focus and do something specific really well?
Totally agree. Being practical, but still being human. That's kind of what I
Yeah.
always want to make sure we mention in the show is like where AI is awesome and AI has been a huge help for us and our team and our clients, but we never replace the human piece. Human always stays first.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Let's go win some more fist bumps. Any other, by the way, too, topics, ideas, conversations you want, guests that you think we should have. We know Bob Britton's coming up as a guest next week. We're starting to line up a lot more guests. So you just don't have Daniel and I talking at you. But yeah, any of your suggestions, we'd love to hear it.
I will be gone at the end of the month, just to forewarn you guys. Maybe we can find someone that wants to fill in for me. I'll be in Africa, actually, Tanzania. If you know of anyone in Tanzania, let me know.
That sounds like an awesome trip.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody, have a good weekend. Happy Friday, and